Hello, and thanks for tuning in again to Formscan on IrishRacing.com. I'm recording day 2 preview of Royal Ascot, recording this on Monday evening. So we've just got the declarations through for day 2. Tanya looking like a cracker, and I think we'll just go straight into it. I'll just get it up on the screen here. So on to Wednesday. And the first race we'll have a chat about is the Queen Mary Stakes, a 5 furlong sprint for the 2-year-old fillies. Maybe a small bit of a guessing game here, but some really impressive debutantes make haste at the top of the market here for Diego Diaz. Really noteworthy. He turned down massive money for this filly from Watnan Racing just a few weeks ago after she made her really, really impressive debut at Nice. Look, deserved market leader, but there's plenty in here that look, they were impressive as well. Tanya, is there anything sticking out to you?
Oh, yes, I've been waiting. Everyone is going into Royal Ascot. Everyone said, have you got a selection? And when I said Miss Rascal, they've all gone, who? And I just think, I hope that this gives Paul and Oliver Cole a wonderful day at Royal Ascot. She is a little bit of a fireball, bless her. And it's accentuated by the fact, if you watched her first time, which was at Newmarket, you wouldn't really have been impressed until the second time and then watched the first time back again. At Newmarket, she must have missed the break by about 4 or 5 lengths, and automatically you obviously say race over. But the ground she made up and then kept running through the line was so impressive. But once again, of course, you've got to take it in the fact that you watch her next time up. Newmarket, yeah, in the end, she was only beaten 2 lengths by a horse called It Ain't Two. Then subsequently, quite handily, her next race was at Ascot, which is really, really helpful considering where she's now running in the Queen Mary. And it doesn't faze me at all that she's running in a Group 2. I think the speed, she has the speed and prowess perhaps of a 4 furlong horse. That's the kind of best way to explain her. She will fly out. There's no holding back. And I think she will forever remain a 5 furlong horse, bless her. There's nothing much of her, but yet it's hard to explain. She's like a little Powerball, and she will just tear away, and she'll have a huge lead in theory, and that will reduce and may disappear completely. That's her style of running. But she won so impressively at Ascot next time that then I watch back the run at Newmarket, and it just shows you her strength, because if you are fireballs and you miss the break, normally you just down tools, and you know, maybe it's because her first run and Daddy Tudhope thought, oh, let's see how much ability she's got. But Tom Kwan was on her at Ascot. He's on her again today. On her again on Wednesday, and off she'll go. And hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, as you say, it's a guessing game, because they'll all mature at different rates. They'll all speed up at different rates. And no good to everyone listening, but if this was over 4.5 furlongs, she's home. But it's not. And it's how far deficit, if indeed she does get, on her rivals.
Nice shout there from Miss Rascal. So yeah, look, like you're saying, a bit of a guessing game, and one who I'm going to take a bit of a chance on in this one is Mighty Iru for Gavin Cromwell. I think Gavin has 100% strike rate at Royal Ascot, 2 from 2, and maybe that might be 75%, depending on whether my mate Mozzie wins on day 1. But I think Mighty Iru is very overpriced in this one, 20 to 1. She made her debut at the Curragh a few weeks ago. She was behind full brother of Blackbeard, Tunbridge Wells, going up against the Coles first time out, and she looked like she was going to put him under serious pressure for a long way. You'd be hoping she can step up nicely for that. And Gavin can train 2-year-old winners at Royal Ascot. I just think 20 to 1, she looks way overpriced. Interesting that Qatar as well have bought her since that debut. I think it was a good maiden she ran in, and I'm hoping she can step on it. Like you said, bit of a guessing game with these 2-year-old fillies, but I think at the prices, 20 to 1 looks too big about Gavin Cromwell's runner in that one. But we'll move on swiftly enough to the 305, the Queen's Vase. A really, really strong hand from Ballydoyle in this one. 4 out of the 12 coming from Aidan O'Brien. He has the favourite in here, the choice of Ryan Moore, Illinois. A one-time Derby hope, I suppose, but that form of his Lingfield Derby trial behind Ambiente Friendly does not look too bad at all now. What's your take on this one, Tanya?
Yeah, it's what to do in this race, really, isn't it? Because there's so many for Aidan. He's won it, I think it's won it 7 times. I did have a little count through of Aidan's winners. Aidan's had 85 winners. His last 42 winners, I'm trying to make a point here, last 42 winners, 37 of them have been ridden by Ryan Moore. So what I was trying to do was trying to work out what chances, when he's got 2 or more in the race, do the other riders have or the other horses have. And that kind of gives away that Ryan's on Illinois. It brings in the ambient friendly Lingfield form. That was now looking at an excellent run. I want to bring in that line of form as well, but more so with a Simon and Ed Crisford horse in Maidan. Now, I'd have been more hesitant and cautious, but for yesterday, because the stable were out of form. Yesterday, we had a couple of places and a win with Telemark. And suddenly you're thinking, here we go. I'll keep an eye, obviously, to see how they go on Tuesday, but they got Maidan, and this one finished just behind Illinois and has subsequently come out when they were really out of form and one of the few horses that won for them. So there is more improvement to come. I sense coming around that final turn, it's going to be a battle between the pair, Maidan versus Illinois. I've looked through the others. Obviously, Aidan's got this massive strong hand, but I think it'll be a forecast, and I'll go for Maidan to beat Illinois. It's just so strong, that form, when you reflect it, bear it on anything else in the race.
But for a bit of improvement there from Maidan. So that Lingfield Derby trial could be key here. Yeah. I'm actually going to take a small chance on the Jessica Harrington runner here, Birdman. He's a horse we probably don't know an awful lot about, but I was really taken by him when he won his maiden in Cork back in April. That was on quite soft ground, but he was on better ground next time in Navan and franked that form again. He actually beat an odds-on Ballydoyle horse that day, Gaspar Gelemos, but he was in front of Highbury, who's also in here when he won his maiden at Cork. He won that maiden hands and heels, as easy as you like, and Highbury came out and boosted that form next time at Leopardstown. I think he's probably just being overlooked a small bit, 11-2. A big kind of raw looking horse. I'd say they're expecting him to improve an awful lot. He stays very, very well. I think he should be in the first 3, so I'm going to take a chance on him at 11-2. They've spoken very, very favorably of him after his races. They thought he might be a little bit of a star for the yard, and Jessica Harrington normally comes out of Royal Ascot with a winner, so I think he could be one of her best chances of the week. 11-2 looks a good price about him, so I'm going to take the chance there. But we'll go on to the next race, the 345, the Duke of Cambridge. Laurel in here at 5-2 favourite for John Gosling and Ryan Moore, and we've got Ocean Jewel and Rogue Millennium, the 1-3 from the Ridgewood Pearl at the Curragh reopposing here. I'm a big Rogue Millennium fan, obviously won this last year, bought for big money last December. Maybe slightly surprising to some that she went back into training, but I thought she showed a good spark there in the Ridgewood Pearl when she didn't have much luck in running. Did you have a fancy in here, Tanya?
I'd be a little bit worried about Laurel. I know how good, obviously, Laurel is, but no, undoubtedly she's a little bit fragile. It'll be good to go, no doubt. Ryan Moore rides on Laurel. I like Breege. She's a little bit of a character, as shown at Epsom, because obviously, if and when she hits the front, they'll all concertina her up, because she can't hit the front too soon. If she does, you saw by Epsom, she caused a whole host of congestion in her. She runs as fast as the fastest horses, and that's her skill. And that's why perhaps she hasn't got the rating that some of the others have got. Upped in grade again here. That was I thought that was a fantastic run at Epsom, because she was running about the place, and running at Epsom, now back at Ascot, much fairer. She can accentuate, she can showcase her ability to accelerate. Jason Hart, I note that they've got cheek pieces on them for the first time for Breege. Maybe that's to help just concentrate her a little bit more, stop her wandering around. She certainly, I think the value's there. I think that's what it is. The value's there. You can look at her knowing that she'll be in the mix in the closing stages. She certainly get a place. And I'm just not keen on the price towards the top of the market for Laurel, knowing that we just see a just very rarely, infrequently, don't we? I appreciate that I'm going to be trying to take on Royal Millennium. It's going to be difficult, but I was trying to look at an each way bit of value. And Breeze, you know, you're going to get in the frame if she gets her clear run through.
Yeah, the cheap pieces could, like you mentioned, bring out improvement in her as well. But yeah, I am with Rogue Millennium here. I backed her that day in the car, and it was fairly antagonising viewing, trying to see her getting up the rail there. She had absolutely nowhere to go. But kind of mentioned it earlier as well. Joseph's kind of training his horses to progress from run to run, and you'd imagine she should come on an awful lot for that. I think they mentioned that thought she could be a Group 1 filly as well. She won this last year. I think she's going to be quite hard to beat here. I think it was ran on the straight course last year when she won it, but on the turn this time, I don't think that should impede her too much either. I'd say she'll be fairly hard to beat there. Rogue Millennium, she'd be one of my stronger fancies of the week, I think. But we'll go on to the 425, the Prince of Wales. Slightly disappointing maybe that White Birch wasn't declared this morning for this one, but Inspiral I think is making this race very, very interesting. I'm finding it hard to split them, Tanya. I'll give it over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. No, I think we were all hoping that White Birch, and I hope White Birch is okay. I just probably think that the rainfall's not there.
Yeah, I think they mentioned this morning it was a bad blood sample. They were just weren't quite happy with it, I think so.
No, because I was so looking forward to White Birch because they've campaigned him brilliantly this year, and I don't think he's got anything else to prove. He'll just sit and wait for something else to tackle them later. Now we come into this race, and a couple of things: fillies and mares in this race. I've done my stats on my fillies and mares. Once again, you can see here, I've been working hard. If you're Blue Rose Sienna and that's priced accordingly, in the last few years, you've had something like 10 4-year-old fillies go for this, and only Love has won it. But you've had a few favourites in the mix there. If you're a mare, if you're older, the record's that much more concentrated, that much better. You've had the Ouija board and the Fugue coming through to win for a much smaller pool, and I can see why Inspiral's come into this race for a couple of reasons. Perhaps obviously America's kind of meant that they've lent over to the 10 furlongs again. I don't think it was the all-out disaster that many people were saying in the Lockinge, because if you're willing to forgive Big Rock, if you're willing to forgive some of the others that you'll see on day one, then I think Inspiral's run a cracker really, and it's the first race since America. Back on the 10 furlongs, got a lovely turn to go around as well. I think she's got every chance, as well as the weight advantage on August Rodin. Now, with August Rodin, we don't know which one will turn up. A good one turned up against White Birch. I think when people were saying, oh, it's not turned up, I think they were being a little bit harsh on White Birch because he'd built up his CV and portfolio so well to that win last time out, that August Rodin comes in here with top class form, I feel. Outside of those, looking down the list, it's not that deep really, and not being rude. So once again, the French could have a say in it. They could, but I don't think they're the class. If Inspire and August Rodin put in their best form, we've got a mighty tussle. And I think I'll stick with the John and Thady Gosden because of the stats. There's a draw stat as well. You want to be drawn more, the bigger numbers. And Inspiral's got a beaut of a drawn 10 of 10 is an absolute gift. So hopefully Kieran Schumacher can utilise that, settle in, and see how we go. So I'll go with Inspiral.
I don't have a big play in this race, to be honest. I agree with you. It's between the two, but yes, I'm finding them very, very hard to split. One thing that was on my mind, I know she stayed the 10 furlongs at the Breeders' Cup. It's obviously going to be a stiffer test here. Would that be any worry to you at all?
Well, the whole race is for that and August Rodin is a worry. Well, obviously, the trip for August Rodin, that doesn't come into question. It's maybe things like the ground come, but for her, everything's a worry because I'm just not worried about the lock-in run as much as anything else. The switch of race shows you that maybe that's telling you that they think they can win the Queen Anne, or like the thought process of the thought they could win the Queen Anne with audience. So Cheveley Park say, well, why have two in one race? Let's go and win both races.
Yeah.
And they're not phased about the trip. She's obviously another year older. And if obviously the ground had been a little bit of a cause, they were probably thinking of the ground as well. The weather scene that is coming up at, I don't think there's a problem. She just probably needs a fast pace to run off, but not as quick as a mile pace that they saw at Lockinge.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracker, and I mean, it could be a good battle between the two. But we'll wrap up with just a glance at the handicap, similar to yesterday. We'll start with maybe the 505's Royal Hunt Cup. I know Vincent on our Irish Angle show, if you haven't watched that, he had a strong mention for Coeur d'Or from the Dermot Well Yard. If you haven't heard him, he made quite a compelling case for him at around 12-14 to 1. Should be a nice each way bet. But Tanya, did you have anything in the final three races?
Yeah, you've always probably got to mention Bless Him, because he's probably having his 8th race at Royal Ascot, and Bless Him will come through with, I see Jamie's old friends on board. In the Royal Hunt Cup, though, I'm looking towards an October handicap where the Gatekeeper beat Ropey Guest here at the track over the mile. I think the other way round, perhaps, with Ropey Guest beating the Gatekeeper. Ropey Guest is a story in himself. He's having 22nd run at Ascot as the course. He's not won yet, but wouldn't it be lovely if he could break his duck by winning the Royal Hunt Cup? He's on a mark. He's always on a mark where he could do it. And a Royal Hunt Cup where they all fall across the line together might be the answer, but that is very, very risky. But I'll say Ropey Guest. Looking at some of the couple of the others of races later on, maybe Harry Charlton's having such a wonderful season, and in that 5-4-40 race, the Kensington Palace for the fillies, he's had a horse that's running really well. Apologies, in the contest. He's been going exceptionally well with Roaring Success, who's had 2 seconds on its last 2 starts, a second to Twirling and a second to Too Tempting. And we saw Too Tempting again come out at the weekend. And what a phenomenal horse that is. That just keeps trying and winning for Johnny Portman. With that in mind, Roaring Success was second, half a length to Too Tempting in Ascot in May, and I think that Harry Charlton could have success at Royal Ascot with Roaring Success. Another each-way selection, that is. And then I haven't really got any sort of thought in the lottery that is the Windsor Castle. But that's being really rude, because obviously if Star Anthem wins on the first day of Royal Ascot, then I'd have to pay a much more closer attention to Hawaiian, who beat Star Anthem. And keep an eye out in the Coventry to see how Star Anthem has done, and then I would be on Hawaiian because he beat Star Anthem.
Want to keep an eye out on there after Tuesday's results. So the Windsor Castle is a bit of a tough one to figure out. I was just waiting to see the Aidan O'Brien jockey bookings coming in. Probably no massive surprise that Ryan chose Treasure Oil. I think the form of his runs might be some of the strongest in this race. He was beaten, I think, 2 lengths by Midnight Strike, who will also run on Tuesday as well. So I'm interested to see how he'll line up there. But improved again then to beat a call to Jessica Harrington's at Naas next time out. Got into a battle there. He still looked quite green, so hopefully an improve for it. But no massive strong selection there for me. I actually quite liked Villanova Queen to maybe go back to back in the Kensington Palace. She's only £1 higher than when she won it last year. It was I actually think I backed her last year. It was poetry in motion, watching her cut through the field. She has to be held up, so needs that bit of luck and running. It was run on the round course last year, run on the straight course this year, but she enjoyed the test of Ascot that time. I actually thought she was coming with a bit of a run last time in the Ridgewood Pearl, and behind some nice fillies there. Just didn't quite see it out, but I'm hoping the cheap pieces might help her in that regard. She might finish out her races a little bit more strongly. But I think 20-1, only a pound higher than last year. I think there's plenty in her favour. She's a big kind of strapping filly, so I don't think carrying weight is much of an issue for her. So I'm going to take a chance there at a big price each way. So those are most of the races covered. I think we've got a bit of a shout in nearly everything. So Tanya, I'll ask you for a nap of the day before we finish up on day 2.
It's a really, really tricky day, right? Day 2. And had you not gone for Villanova Queen, I would have napped Roaring Success. But instead, fingers tightly crossed, we'll go first race. We'll go Miss Rascal and hope that she can burn off her rivals in the Queen Mary. I was hoping she declared. She has done, so fingers tightly crossed. She will fly. But for how far, I don't know. Let's hope she doesn't miss the break. That's all I say.
A nice 7-1 nap there. So on day 2, for Tanya and Miss Rascal in the first, I'm going to go Rogue Millennium in Duke of Cambridge. I think I put up as probably one to back at Royal Ascot after that Ridgewood Pearl run. I just thought she was really, really eye-catching there, and I think she retains plenty of that ability she showed last year. Maybe she might even get better this year. You wouldn't know. She's a big filly as well, and Joseph has kind of Group 1 ambitions with her, so I'm hoping she'll be able to pick this up on the way to maybe bigger targets later on in the year. So Rogue Millennium for me and Miss Rascal for Tanya are the naps of the day on day 2. But thanks again, Tanya, for all your contributions. It'll actually be Vincent and Tanya back for the next 2 days of action, because I will be in Ascot. But make sure to tune in for previews of the rest of the week, and if you're going to have a bet, make sure to gamble responsibly.